Hey y'all, it's y'all favorite cozy girl, and I'm back again with another episode of Robe Chronicles. Tonight, we're going to talk about Summer House, Martha's Vineyards, episodes 2 and episode 3, because I'm a little delayed, okay? Sorry guys, I was out of the country, but I'm back to it. So, episode 2 starts off right where episode 1 ends off, with Jordan and Silas having a conversation about Jordan keeping Jasmine out late. And it's like, you be taking my girl out and keeping her out till 3 in the morning. And Jordan's like, I am grown. Your wife is grown. She does what she wants. If I'm inviting her out, it's for me to feel safe while I'm out and whatever. And we're just out because it's an event that I have to be at. And Silas was really not trying to hear her. And I feel like Silas comes off a little bit controlling. Yeah, just a little bit so far. I mean, I feel like there's more to it, but it comes off a little weird. And Jordan did not like the energy that was coming towards her. And you could tell she wanted to nip it in the bud. And Jasmine even says, like, Jordan's not going to back down from anybody. She's like, she just doesn't want it to be her husband. And I feel that Jasmine should have maybe she should have kept quiet. I really don't know. I'm not married, so I can't say. But I feel like she should have just been like, hey, let's leave it alone. Let's forget it. But whatever. Then they leave after that. And Mariah in the car has the cutest conversation with her son. She seems like such a positive person. But it seems like her positivity is kind of like needed. Like maybe she had a hard life or things were rough or whatever. So she has leaned into this positivity to kind of ground herself and be calm. That's what I get from Mariah. I really like her. Silas and Jasmine have a conversation as soon as they get home in their bedroom. And he's like, do you think I was wrong or whatever? And she was like, yeah, like your problem is not with Jordan. Your problem was with me. But now it's coming off on her because I was out with her. Like she didn't make me go out, which is true. She didn't. And so I might be getting some slack for saying this, but I do kind of appreciate the fact that she checked him because she did let him know, like, you're going in on Jordan, but Jordan is not the problem here. I decided to go out, with her. So any problem you have with her, it's not a problem with her. It's a problem with the decision I made. So I kind of like that. But then they showed them going at it like rabbits. I feel like I have watched a lot of Bravo shows, and I don't know one married couple that they have shown that vividly having intercourse. Like, I feel like that was a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot. Like, it was a lot. That's all I gotta say about that. Then the next morning, Jasmine's like, oh, I always make my man breakfast, blah, 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 blah. And, they're talking about their relationship. And honestly, I kind of see why they behave the way they do, the two of them, because they met online, which is fine, at the beginning of the pandemic. And by November, they were already engaged. Like, you met in April, and by November, April, if for those of you who are unaware, is month 4 in a 12-month year. And they were engaged by November, which is month 11. So it was so short of a time that they dated, and like the conditions of which they dated under was total lockdown. So you're dating a girl who used to work in the Playboy mansion or whatever it was, or work for Playboy or throw parties for Playboy. I don't know exactly what they did, but they did something in which they partied for Playboy, and you're meeting her in a space in which she can't even leave her home. Like, you don't know that girl. I mean, you can say that you know them because they probably spent so much time talking and getting to know each other, but like, you don't know who that girl really is. And I think that's probably why, like, she probably told him everything, but telling somebody stuff about you and how you move and what you've done versus having them experience it are very, very different things. And I have seen this in my personal life. So I know for a fact that Silas is in for the shock of his life. Um, yeah, so then Shanice is coming. This is a friend of Bria's, but she also worked with Jordan and Jasmine at the Playboy House. And then Bria's other friend, Phil, is also coming. Amir convinces Jordan to go with him kayaking. And he said, he's like, oh, I'm trying to have my Titanic moment with her. And production was like, you know, the Titanic sank. And he was like, oh, like Jordan is actually pretty young. I mean, Amir is actually pretty young. So maybe he's never seen it. But yeah, so the group, they go bowling, which is nice. Like, you know, it's fun that you see them going out and doing regular things. I feel like in other, and I don't watch regular Summer House, but I feel like a lot of the Real Housewives, all they do is they eat and they drink. And then when they have things, it's just them sitting around. Like, it's not really like fun stuff where they kind of like, you know, every so often they do, but that's usually when they go out of the country. So it was nice to go see them bowl. It's kind of a casual thing, but it's kind of cool. Bria brings Milo or Milo, I don't know what his name is actually now, I'm blanking, in a clear backpack. And honestly, girl, that is not how emotional support dogs move. Because how can he emotionally support you zipped up, confined in a backpack? Again, I'm not gonna talk about this dog no more. I'm not talking about this dog no more. I'm done. So then they're at the bar talking, and she asks, Bria asked Jasmine, Silas, and Preston, I guess because that's who's there, like, if it's okay for her man to come and stay with them the last week. And she's like, and because he's coming from Germany, I don't want him to come just stay a couple of days. I want him to stay the entire week. Excuse me. And so they're kind of like, no, yeah, that's fine. That's perfect. That's okay. And I'm like, y'all know this is going to be okay. And this is going to be drama. But you know what? Hindsight is 2020, right? Because you're accepting it here. And then production asks Bria, like, well, do you think with her agreeing, this means that she's like starting to see her relationship in more of like a serious light? And Bria's like, no, I don't think so. Then they go and cut to Jasmine talking about like, I still don't believe it. Like, she is not serious until she's married. And I just feel like Jasmine makes these comments about marriage like she hasn't been only married for like 6 months. And I don't want to say nothing bad against her marriage, but if that marriage lasts up to 5 years, I'll be shocked. Genuinely shocked. It could last forever. It could last a lifetime. But if that marriage lasts up to 5 years, I'll be shocked. But yeah, so Mariah then asked everybody at the bowling to come to her moon mass. And it's like a spiritual hoodoo thing. And, you know, everybody's kind of talking shit. But Nick is actually interested. And this was one of the moments in which Nick kind of stood out to me as someone who is like more understanding. Because I don't think it could be, but it didn't seem like it was coming from a place of like, oh, I'm attracted to Mariah, so let me, you know, go along with what she's saying. It generally sounded like, you know, this girl is trying to bring us to a different place and bring us to different experiences. And I'm interested in learning that and understanding it. So that was kind of cool on his part because it seemed like everybody else was just kind of being very dismissive and jokey, like, oh, it's something stupid. And to me, I'm not saying I'm a moon mass kind of girly, but if someone I just met is doing something that is special to them and they're including me, I feel like I'd be like, okay, like let's see what's going on. Let's hear, you know, what it's about. So they get back and it's cold AF. And Mariah wants them outside to do the moon mass. And so they, I guess, light a fire, but it's not helping. It's just, and you could tell, you could see the leaves and the bushes blowing in the back. So she's doing her thing and it just seems like everybody's freezing. And because everybody's freezing, they're not paying attention to what she's saying. They're not paying attention to what she's doing. They're just kind of over it. And like, Nick and Jordan, I guess, are close to each other. They're kind of like kikiing. And Amir's like, cut the shit. What are y'all kikiing for? Like, he doesn't say it to them, but in his little confessional, he's like, y'all kikiing and things are serious. Like, what's funny? Which is funny to me. But it's like, I kind of feel bad for Mariah in this instance because I know who I am. If I'm cold, I can't really pay attention to nothing else. Like, I'm so focused on trying to warm my body that you might be talking about something and I don't want to hear it because it's like I'm cold. And what you're saying isn't that important to me, sadly. So me being cold trumps all of this. So yeah, she kind of like gets to the end. She's like, does anybody have anything to say? And like, well, we want to go inside because we're cold. And she is like super irritated because everybody left and wasn't really paying attention and kind of left her out there at the end. And so she was feeling bad because she feels like she wanted to share something about her that was special with them because I guess her father's side is from Mexico and then her mother's side is from Alabama, I think. And she said they all have like voodoo type spirituality background. So she was trying to really share herself and she just felt like the cast was not having it. And that's kind of sad. The next morning, Alex is outside doing yoga. And honestly, everybody talks about how hot Alex is and they like him. But something about Alex is not like, not that he is a bad person. So that's not what I'm trying to say or feel. But I'm like, I'm not a big fan. Like, I know he's on a personal journey, but something is not, to me, all the way correct. Shanice shows up and, she's all excited. She's a fun time girl, which I kind of like. And she comes in, big energy, and instantly Nick, who has been in her DMs since, I guess maybe he found out he was going to be working with her, is like, she don't look like her IG. Now, this girl looks the exact same. She just doesn't have makeup on. Like, it's literally just a girl with no makeup versus a girl with makeup. And I don't know if Nick has seen many girls with no makeup. Maybe he hasn't. Who knows? Right? Because it's like, why is this such a shock? Women with makeup and no makeup look very similar. Like, even Jordan, like, when Jordan's in her confessionals done up, she look a little different than how she looks every day with no makeup. She's both beautiful women, but there's a difference when you're done up versus not done up. But Nick tried to play and show her picture like, oh, this is not the same girl. And Preston was like, you don't even show yourself and who you really are. So why are you doing this? But whatever. Then Jasmine's talking about how much there's an adjustment of like hanging out with your friends when you're married and this and that. And honestly, I want to give Jasmine the benefit of the doubt because I do think that now that we're getting out of the pandemic and she actually does have to balance both her friends and this man plus marriage, she is probably finding out that it's not everything that she thought it would be. Right? When you and one person are just you and one person for so long, it's probably really hard for her to kind of conceptualize bringing her friends back into it. But yeah, so I think it's like, whatever. But then they're all supposed to go out to dinner and Mariah doesn't want to go. She's still probably a little snippy about the moon mask. Preston isn't going because he has something to do. And so they kind of stay back and everybody's getting ready to leave when Mariah goes to check her laundry because I think maybe she needs a towel or maybe her clothes. I don't know what exactly she needed, but she had to go check on the laundry. And when she goes and checks on her laundry, she finds out that Milo's clothes and stuff was being washed with the general population towel. Now, some people might see this and be like, why does this upset her? But as a Black person with a dog, I would never wash anything my dog uses. My dog doesn't even, like when I give my dog a bath in my home and I give him a towel, that is his towel. That is his towel. That towel don't go back into Gen Pop. It don't get back with everything else. That towel is the dog's towel. Rocky has his towel. I have my towels. And when I wash them, Rocky's towel gets washed by itself. My towels get washed by themselves, right? I don't mix and match because the thing is, my dog sheds. Mariah's pissed about this, and I get this because my dog sheds. Now, if you have a dog that sheds, you know that their hair gets everywhere. And if you know anything about washing clothes, like people are like, oh, it's getting clean. Hair clings to stuff in a way that like, it's so hard to get it out. So even if you're washing it, you're really just spreading the hair of the dog all over the place. Like when I wash something that I've used to like clean off my shedding dog, I know that I have to kind of wipe the inside of the washer because that hair is really just everywhere, you know? So I get Mariah's being upset. So Mariah comes and addresses it with Bria. Now, I feel that the tone she comes with was kind. It was upset, like she was obviously upset, but I think the tone she came with was kind. But Bria's response was very snippy. It was very much like, okay, and I think Mariah kind of, you know, worked off that and instantly was like, okay, B word, since you want to play, we can play. And she kind of just went off. And at some point, she took the clothes or the items that belonged to the dog and placed it on the chest of Bria and kind of gave a slight, like, here, take it. It wasn't, I wouldn't call that a push. Now, the reason why I'm bringing that up is because it's relevant, but I wouldn't call that a push. I would just say she kind of put it on her and gave a little extra. That's what I would call it, a little extra, okay? And now they cussing and going back and forth. Bria's like, don't call me the B word. Call me a B word again. You'll see what happens. Mariah's like, B word, B word, B word, B word. And I'm like, oh my God, things have gotten so intense so quickly. So quickly. And so Shanice is like, oh my God, I want to leave. I just want to go out and drink and blah, blah. And so old girl dips with the boys. And even Amir is like, aren't you going to take a side? Like, that's your friend. And she goes, I have no sides. And she just leaves, gets in the car with the men, goes. Mariah and Bria are going off. And Jasmine's like, hey, let's dead this, leave it alone. Let's just go. We were supposed to go to dinner, cool off, whatever, you know, and it definitely was able to be broken up. Jasmine addresses Mariah. I don't think she's a bad friend. I think that, because I've seen comments of people are like, oh, she didn't defend her friend, but I don't think she's a bad friend. I think she was just more so like, okay, what the heck just happened? And I get that stance. So she's kind of just like, what the heck just happened? And, you know, whatever. So then they leave. Mariah is kind of ashamed of herself for behaving this way. So she starts breaking down when Preston asks what's happened. And I love Preston because Preston takes that time to be like, may I? Like, he wants consent to come in and give her care. And I love that because it's like, you know, just because someone is crying, that doesn't mean that they want you to touch them or be around them. So Preston kind of showing that, like, despite what someone is feeling, you should still always allow them consent is dope. I love that little bit. She calms down. She says, like, you know, she just is disappointed in herself. They get to then the other people are at dinner and Bria's pissed at Shanice because she's like, girl, you left me and you're supposed to be my girl. Like, we are friends and you were not there for me the way you should have been. And she is pissed. She's like, no, I can't. She's like, you know what? I can't even talk to you. So she kind of walks away. And to me, it seems like Bria's a very dramatic person. I kind of don't care for her, to be honest. I would prefer if she just left. But maybe those type of highly emotional, dramatic people are good for TV. So, you know, to me, I don't care for her. I want her gone. But that's just me. So they go, and then they're at dinner, they start falling out. Shanice walks away, Amir follows her and is like, okay, calm down, you should stay. Like, no, not Shanice. Bria gets upset, she walks away, Amir follows Bria and is like, calm down, stay. And then Shanice comes to kind of fix the problem, and she's like, I don't know what's going on, and blah blah blah. And they didn't really get a chance to have a conversation, it seemed, because Phil texted and said he landed and was on the way. And then a man starts trying to hit on them. I don't know if he was really trying to hit on them or just hitting on them because there's a camera following them. But she was like, well, you got to find me a shot, Clase Azul, whatever, whatever. So they go, they have the shot, then they go back to dinner. And then back at the house, Phil shows up. Phil's screaming. He walks in, he's loud, loud, loud. Even before he walks in, you could tell he was already maybe drunk because he fell over his luggage, all this stuff. Gets in the house, he's being loud, he's yelling, telling everybody, come take a shot. Preston is like, okay, like, I'm gonna come take a shot, but chill, because I'm still trying to get ready. He's yelling, and Preston is instantly like, Phil seems like he's a good time, but he also seems like somebody that needs to be the center of attention. And you know what? He clocked him, because Phil is definitely a center of attention gentleman. Because Bria's story about him is that she met him, he took them out, paid for everything, showed them a good time, whatever, whatever. And that is very much so someone who wants to be the center of everybody's attention. I'm not saying he's not cool. We only, he just came in, he's drunk. But then he starts to do more questionable things, because then he's like, oh, where's the room I called? And it's like, you called a room? You haven't been here, baby. You just got here. So why would you call a room? He's like, oh, well, I told Bria to put my name on a sticky note and put it on the room. You're not here. Even if they did that, it doesn't matter, because you're not here. And it's first come, first served. That means this room would have been empty for 2 days waiting for you? No, absolutely not. And he's like, oh, well, because I can't, I'm going to move his stuff and da-da-da-da. So he goes to Mariah. And I guess Preston's like, oh, well, go talk to Mariah. He goes and talks to Mariah. He's like, oh, I want to move his stuff. I want to take it out, blah, 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 because it's not fair. And Mariah instantly sees Phil. I don't even think she cared for nothing he was saying. She was like, he's taller than me. He's handsome. This is what time it is. She's like, might be the energy I need, because he's hype, he's this. So I think she was really excited to see somebody that was that tall, and that, like, not like super skinny, because Alex not saying he's not handsome, and Nick not saying he's not handsome, but they are both tall and very, very, very skinny. And Mariah is small. She's not a big girl, but she's not as skinny as like Bria. So I think for her, she's like, I want a man that has a little bit more meat on him. And I think seeing Phil, she was like, oh, like that was all she saw. She saw height and handsome, and she didn't care what he was saying, because he was talking crazy. Because I would have been like, you're annoying, but she didn't hear that. And he was like, well, I'm gonna go and shit in his bathroom and not flush it. Sir, you're an adult. Why would you go and take a doo-doo in somebody's restroom and not flush it intentionally? Like, maybe you took a doo-doo, you was in a rush, you forgot, I don't know. But to do it and not flush intentionally because you're mad that someone took your room is probably some of the most childish stuff I have ever heard. And I am shocked, to say the least, by it. Like, I'm disgusted. Phil, you're weird. And they're like, oh, let's take an Uber and leave. And I'm like, where are y'all going? He doodled in the restroom and didn't flush it. Like, that is weird. He's weird. That man is weird. That is a weird thing to do. I don't care what nobody says. Like, you are a grown man. Like, you consciously thought of that and thought it was a good idea. No, you didn't. You didn't. That's weird. I'm sorry. It's weird. Weird, weird, weird. But anyway, so then they leave. They get to the club and meet the rest of the people. Shanice is excited to see Phil. Bria's excited to see Phil. Everybody's happy, introducing themselves. Mariah's having a good time because she's at peace with herself, of what happened. And Bria is now upset because she's like, how is she at peace after what she did to me? Then Jordan comes to tell Jasmine, like, your girl did X, Y, Z, and that's why you need to, check her. She shouldn't be having fun and y'all shouldn't be kikiing when she did that to your other girl. And it's like, she did what? Like, okay, I get that they had an argument. I get that maybe it got a little bit more heated than necessary, but you acting and demonstrating a push that did not happen. She is like pushing Jasmine. And I'm like, girl, I kind of feel like this is what you want to do to Jasmine, and you're trying to play it off as what Mariah did to Bria, because she did not even touch her nearly as hard as what you're trying to play and portray on this camera right now, because you're playing in her face. You're playing in her face. And I feel like maybe it's the alcohol or whatever, but they was all playing. And Bria's all upset, and she's like, oh, she's gonna have a good time, and I'm here sad and upset because I'm an emotional little baby. Like, oh God, I'm sorry. I went too far. Bria's a child, a literal child, because it doesn't even make sense. Just because she's here, who cares if she's having a good time? She's having a good time, you move on. And then after, if she doesn't apologize, and that is a conversation for sober thoughts, right? Like, okay, we've come back and you still haven't said nothing, and you was a little hostile, and maybe I was a little hostile too, but it's not a conversation to continue while you're still drunk, right? But anyways, and they finish, they get home. No, when they get to the club, I forgot, Preston tells Nick, like, he's trying to move your stuff. Like, Phil is tripping, like, and Phil comes over and is like, yeah, I tried to move your stuff. I took a shit in your bathroom. And Nick was like, no, you didn't. Like, what? That sounds crazy. But then they get home and he sees that Phil really took a shit in his bathroom. And he's like, oh, that's corny. Come flush the toilet. And Phil's like, I'm not flushing the toilet because you took my room and da-da-da-da-da-da. And Nick was like, what are you talking about? Like, I didn't take your room. And he was like, this is like when slavery, because if you don't know slavery, sir, what are you talking about? Now he going off on a tangent about slavery, and nobody knows what he's talking about. Preston's like, what is he talking about? Like, sir, you're not only childish, you're not smart. And that's a dangerous combination, because you get drunk and act a fool. And people who act a fool when they're drunk and say stupid stuff, like, it's annoying, because you're just annoying people. And then, Nick is like, you know what? I don't even want to talk about it. I'm going to go flush the toilet because, you know what? This is stupid. And he's like, yeah, I know you're going to flush the toilet. Okay, because I should turn around and bust you in your head. But Nick doesn't do that. Nick is very kind about it. But Alex is like, you know what, bro? You corny. He's sitting on the couch. He's like, you corny. And all of a sudden, Phil decides to turn and go into Alex, like, who are you talking about? Da, 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 going off. And then, boom, Amir stands up and loses his cool. He's like, you want to talk? We can go, blah, blah, blah. And Phil's like, sit your little ass down. He goes, you gonna see what this little ass can do. And they going back and forth, and the episode ends. And it's like, dang, they finna fight? Because honestly, I kind of want to see Amir fight. I do want to see Amir fight. It'd be nice to see. I believed he could beat his ass, because he was not playing. That was a very serious face of someone who could 100% beat that person's ass. Like, you don't play and talk like that and be that serious if you can't do it. He could do it. I knew in that moment, I was like, he can beat Phil's ass for sure. For sure. For sure he can. Like, that level of confidence, oh, he's gonna beat his ass for sure. And then, which brings us into episode 3, which starts right off from where we was at. And they're going back and forth. And Amir talks in the confessional about how he hates bullies. He's like, I don't like bullies. Like, that is a big pet peeve for me. And so because he saw Phil as someone who was trying to come in and bully everyone, he felt like he had to get up and get in there, because he's like, I was bullied and now I can fight. So ain't nobody finna bully me no more because I'll just fight you. And I know I could fight and I know I could beat you up. So I don't care. So I kind of like that energy. I personally like that energy that Amir came with, but honestly, it was a lot. So they were like, no, don't fight. So they kind of pull him out or whatever. And Jordan goes to talk to him. Jordan's like, let me talk to him. I'm excited to be with him. My friend Shanice, is friends with him. My girl Bria's friends with him. So if they're cool with him, then I want to be cool with him. So she goes over there and she's trying to have like a serious conversation of like, okay, what happened? Why did this happen? Blah, blah, blah. And he is like coming at her crazy. And she is like, okay, I don't know what you thought this was. And she starts going off, calling him a B word. She's like, bitch, da da da. He calls her one first, so she loses it. She calls him bitch. She's like, she was trying to be nice. She really was. Like, she came over and was trying to just hear him out and see what was going on. And he decided he was going to be a little weirdo. And so she had to go off. And I was like, girl. Wow. Because I was shocked. I was not expecting that. I thought he would be like nicer. And then he was talking about like, oh, you fine or something. But like trying to make it seem like, I don't know. It was a weird compliment at that moment because it was kind of mean. But she lost it on him. And that went for that. And she was like, nope, he's got to go. And now everybody wants him out. So they were like, nope, he's got to go. We don't want him here. So they're like, okay, let's have a team, house meeting. Now, this is where things get weird. They called to have a house meeting and no one called Mariah. So they're having this house meeting about Phil and Mariah's not there. So they go, and security and production doesn't let him join the meeting because they're like, no, we think you're too hyped up. You're not going to be in the meeting, whatever. So they're having this meeting and they're like all in favor to vote out to send Phil home. Everybody votes yes, all opposed, nobody votes, no one's opposed. Then all of a sudden, the conversation shifts where Bria's like, well, if we're voting him out, then we also need to vote Mariah out for putting her hands on me. Wait, what? Okay, what? Mariah had a problem with you. She put Milo's clothes on your chest and gave it a little extra. She did not push you. And now we're voting her out. And everybody's kind of like, yeah, we should probably consider it. And I'm like, no. Not this girl that has been here for the entire time not being included, but Shanice is here. And Shanice has already said she can only be here on the weekend. So I am now confused why things are going how they are. I'm like, something's not right. This is a little shady because everybody's having this conversation and you guys are in agreement that Mariah should go home, but Mariah hasn't even been able to speak her piece, apologize, nothing. It's still the same day. Nothing has happened. Like, you guys are all still sober. Like, Phil came in very aggressive, been disrespectful, whatever, and pissed off all the men and Jordan instantly. Mariah only had a problem with one person, and y'all already ready to kick her out because Bria said so, because Bria's mad her raggedy friend Phil gotta go. They should have said, Bria, well, why don't you go? Because you were rude. You brought this dog that nobody wanted. Everybody's okay with it now, but nobody wanted the dog here. Like, what? Like, that shit, excuse my language, pissed me off instantly, because the fact that they were all like, okay, yeah, and it was so quick and everybody was just in agreement. There was no real conversation around it. I'm like, y'all are raggedy, okay? And I don't like it. And then they agree that the person who invited Phil should tell him that he has to go, and the person who invited Mariah should tell her she has to go, which is obviously Jasmine. So I'm just kind of like, I don't like this, because she wasn't even included, but she had been there from the beginning, and she should have been in that meeting to at least defend herself, apologize, or something. And they did not give her that grace, which makes all of them raggedy. So then Bria calls Phil in. She's like, you gotta go. You pissed everybody off. And he's mad, he's getting upset, but security's there. So they make him leave that night. They're like, you gotta leave. They call a car for him and he leaves immediately. And now Jasmine has to go and tell Mariah that she has to leave. And honestly, I don't think it's right. I think they should have had another conversation with her there. Then they cut and we see Shanice and she's talking to Preston. She's like, oh, I want to F Amir. I mean, everybody thinks Amir's handsome. Is he handsome? Yes. Right? Like, he is a handsome guy. He's someone who people can look at objectively, or maybe it's subjectively, and be like, okay, he's handsome. Like, he's a objectively handsome guy. Like, you know, is he my type? No, but can I look at him and say he's an attractive person? Yes. Like, that's one of those things, you know. And then Amir comes up to knock on the restroom because I guess that's a shower they have to share, and he wanted to shower. And she's like, oh, who is it? She's like, oh, it's Amir. Then this little raggedy little girl, okay, I'm calling her raggedy because she comes out in just a little thong, no top, and she's like, oh, hey, you know, a little shake, 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 trying to show off her little titties. And I'm like, girl, you're not slick, because you're not slick. That's it, and that's all. You're not slick, okay? And so he was like shocked, but she was like apologizing for being in the shower so long. And Amira is like, what? And she's like, oh, and then it's like, oh, I'm so sorry, I came out here without a top. And Amira was like, okay. And he was like, I've seen boobs before, but it's like, you're not going to change my mind. He's like, I'm still Team Jordan. I'm still trying to, you know, work on that. And he doesn't want to mess with Shanice because he knows that they're friends. And he goes, and if he tries to go down that road and go back to Jordan, there's no going back. So I'm glad Amir has some type of moral compass, because it seems like he didn't, but he has a little bit of one when it comes to women. And so Jasmine tells Mariah that she has to leave, and you know, she's sad about it, but Mariah's like, you know what, maybe this is for the best. I liked how she took it so positively, even though she was pissed. Like, of course she's pissed, because y'all didn't have a conversation with me. Y'all decided this without me. You're supposed to be my best friend. I've known you for 12 years, but I'm not getting that grace, right? It's kind of shady, but she takes it with grace. She's like, okay, I gotta go. Then she goes to sleep. They wake up the next day, and she's like packing her stuff and she's leaving. Amir goes and says bye, and we're kind of like, oh, that's so random. I mean, I didn't know they were that close, but you know, Amir goes and says bye. And then Jasmine goes to talk to her, and she packs up her stuff, and it looks like she didn't say bye to her after, because Jasmine's like, well, I'm going to give you your space, and then she leaves the room, and by the time, Mariah just packed up and left. And she's upset. She's like, she has to reevaluate her friendships, which I agree with. Like, girl, you called me here, and I don't even get the opportunity to, you know, just explain myself or apologize, or, because first of all, Bria should have apologized too. Like, honestly, I think, this is my personal opinion, I could be wrong, I think they felt that the drama of having a white man come to this Martha's Vineyard black house where they've been talking about black excellence and black power and black this, black that, was going to be more entertaining. So they wanted everybody to go with whatever Bria said. That's what I believe. I feel like Bravo was like, if we can just get this white man in here, that'll be great. That's my personal belief. I could be wrong, but that's why I think that they went ahead with it, and everybody was like, okay, yeah, because they believed that the drama or entertainment that they were going to get from that white man joining the house was going to be better than whatever Mariah was going to bring. And they might be right. Who knows? But that's what I think that they were looking at. So then we find out that Amir was the one who mistakenly put the dog stuff in with all the other stuff. I guess he just grabbed everything. And he was like, I wanted to say it, but I felt like it was too late. The argument was too far gone. So I didn't want to say anything. And it's like, are you serious? This whole problem could have been solved if he had just been like, wait, you mad at Bria, but she didn't put it, I did, by mistake. I don't think, even though Bria should have been like, I didn't do it, that's what she should have said, but she never actually said that. She just let everybody get rowdy, and she was, because if someone accused me of that, I'd be like, I didn't do that. I would have never done that. But Bria, instead of saying, hey, I didn't do that, she popped off, which goes to show that she does have a bad attitude problem, because a normal person would have just been like, I didn't even do that. So what are you talking about? But no, she goes, that sounds like a you problem. Boom, 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 boom. Yes, she is problematic. So, but everybody kind of just let it go and laughed it off. Like, no, Mariah, come back. I hope you're not at the airport yet. Like, girl, like, that's how I feel. But yeah, then Alex walks into the room. Like, they're all kind of chilling. Alex walks into the room. I think Shanice says something to him, and she's like, Alex, I need personal space. Honestly, that was rude as F, okay? Like, I don't know what happened. He was like, you were kind of trying to grab on me and do all this, and honestly, I just need personal space. And to me, it was just really weird and rude. Like, if you felt that you needed personal space, I mean, I guess he did say it, but she was drunk. But that's a conversation he could have, like, pulled her aside for, because it's kind of embarrassing too. Like, people were there, but it's like, that's something he could have pulled her aside for and been like, hey, like, yesterday I know you were drunk, so that's why I'm trying to bring it up now. You were a little touchy-feely, a little grabby, and I didn't appreciate that at all. That's what he should have done. Did not do it, was really rude about it, and I didn't like it. And Shanice is annoyed by this, which rightfully so. Like, don't come at me in front of people like I did something to you. And you did, but it's like, if I'm drunk and I do something to you, please pull me privately and be like, hey, when you was drunk, you was doing this, that, and the third. And I'll be like, oh, shoot, like, my bad. Maybe she won't say that. Maybe she'll be like, oh, who cares? But either way, give her that grace to respond in private. Like, I thought that, see, I told you something about Alex didn't quite rub me the right way. And that also was like, why would you do that? Like, why would you go to embarrass somebody? Like, it seemed so unnecessary. Then they ask Nick about how he feels about Jordan. He's like, oh, we have a brother-sister vibe. It's not even like that. And they were like, oh, well, so if she wanted, because they were heading to a little fun game day that they were having. And they're like, okay, well, if she wanted to give it up to you, wouldn't? He's like, oh, no, absolutely not. I'd tell her no. Everybody's like, Cap, well, Silas and Alex and Amir, they're like, that's Cap. You would absolutely do it if she came to you trying to, give it to you. And he was like, no, no, no. And it's funny because Silas then mentions that he has never actually seen Nick try to get at a woman in person. Like, he's like, he DMs them, he does all that online, but in person, he's never actually seen him. And then Alex starts talking about how, he thinks Nick is lying about something and he's not being intellectually honest, or he's being intellectually dishonest about something. And this is getting me, as a viewer who sees Nick, I'm like, wait, are they trying to say he's gay? Like, what's going on here? What are they trying to say? Like, is he gay? I will honestly say that's not the vibe I got from Nick, but I was like, if that's what they're trying to say, do Preston got someone to flirt with a little bit? Like, what's going on here? But because I feel like the way they were wording it, that's what it sounded like to me. I was like, okay, what are they trying to say? But yeah, so then they go and, but Nick is like, oh, I'm so irritated. People need to stop asking me about Jordan, his little confessional. And then they're having their little, about Shanice and Jordan, because, they're the pretty girls in the house that are unattached, right? Because Bria has her boyfriend and Jasmine's clearly married. And then they're like, okay, we're having a game day. The captains are Nick and Jordan. And then they pick their teams. And then everybody's telling Shanice, because Shanice is still irritated about what Alex said. They're like, you need to have a conversation with him about what the heck that was, because it was weird and it was rude. Like, you need to get at him about it. And Amir during this time is trying to be cute and flirt with Shanice and, whatever. They do their little competitions. I think the game is tied. Like the red team, Nick's team wins 2. The blue team wins 1. But then the second one, I think it's like tied. And so they just decided that they tied for the day. Excuse me. Alex then, like, production asked, like, what is it about Shanice that, like, you're worried about her or trying to get, out in front of, and asking her about personal space. He goes, well, I was sent an article about her and her ex-boyfriend. And this is where it clicks for me, because it's funny. I don't know who her ex-boyfriend is, supposedly Norman Towns. I don't know nothing about nothing. I'm telling you, one random day on Instagram, because they always like to show you suggested shit, and they always want to show you shit that you don't follow or know or care about. It pops up that Norman talks about being stalked. I literally had gone through every single IG post about this topic because I don't know, it was interesting to me. I was like, wait, he's being stalked by who? She's doing what? She's sending pizzas to the house. I was so intrigued at the time. I mean, I watched Insecure, which is so funny because Norman Towns was on Insecure and that was his claim to fame, I think, or whatever. But I don't even remember him being on Insecure. They keep saying who he was, and he must have been so insignificant because it just doesn't click to me. But either way, at that time when that happened and they were talking about her breakup and all of this, I actually remember reading through all of it. And I was like, oh, this girl crazy. Oh, she crazy. Why are you sending pizzas to somebody's house? This don't even make sense. Honestly, calling somebody 18 times, this may be an unpopular opinion. I don't think it's that crazy. Sorry. 18, that's a low number. You hear about people calling people hundreds of times. 18 is such, in comparison, 18 is so low. That's sane. She's still sane. She's still teetering. If you want to tell me she's crazy, okay. But 18 times, I'm not sure if I buy it. Like, I feel like if you want me to believe somebody's crazy, oh, they called me over 70 times in a row. Oh, they created 100 Google voice numbers. Like, that's when I'm going to start being like, ooh, crazy. But 18? Okay. I'll give it to you. But not a hard give it to you. It's a very soft crazy, very soft stalkerish, right? Especially when you find out he was responding back to her. So it's like, was she really crazy, or did you? She won't call you 18 times if you just answer. I don't know. I'm not trying to make excuses. I don't really know what happened. Her friends adamantly deny it. They all say that's not what happened. They say she broke up with him, supposedly, and then he started making up rumors about her. Now, I don't know why she would call him 18 times if she broke up with him. So that's a little funny to her friend's story. But I do think that something happened and she was upset about it. And I think that she probably did some crazy things. I do believe that. But harping on the 18 phone calls in a row or whatever, that's not the main selling point. That ain't the reason she's crazy. Not to me. I don't know about everybody else, but that don't make her crazy to me. And so because of that, now this is the reason why Alex feels like, oh, well, I don't want to get involved with her because she's crazy. And that's a good reason. That's a good reason. Like, I know this is how you react to stuff. So why would I already put myself in a position, why would I already put myself in a position to deal with somebody who I know is going to behave that way? Yeah. Then they are like, so then she goes and, Bria forces her to have this conversation with Alex. I mean, obviously he's already talked about her being crazy. So he's hearing her out, but you can tell he's hearing her out from a place of like, girl, I just want to be cool so you don't get crazy on me. And they kind of come to a resolution. I didn't hear it in the conversation that was showed. I didn't hear a resolution. I didn't hear that everything was okay. But they ended off with like, is everything cool? And it was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I was like, okay, but where is the actual resolution? What did you guys resolve? What did you decide was okay? But not my business. I don't really care that much. Then, you know, the one thing I will say is she does admit to doing some of the stuff. So, yeah. Anyways, they go home. They're about to make steak dinners. And it's so funny. So Amir talks about being a cook and his mother sending him to like culinary camps and culinary cooking classes and stuff like that. And he was like, oh, how are you making the mac and cheese? Are you putting like breadcrumbs on top? And Preston's like, baby, I'm black. Like, we don't put no breadcrumbs on a mac and cheese. What are you talking about? He's like, no crackers. Crackers on mac and cheese? But everything okay at home? Well, the answer is no. But insanity. But the food looked really good. They made broccoli, mac and cheese, mashed potatoes, steaks. Sounded really good. Food looked bomb. Then they were talking, like, after they ate, like, about having a separate boys and girls night. And they were like, the boys will go out, the girls will go out, and we'll do our own thing. And Jordan was, like, joking about, you know, having Jasmine out till 3 a.m. And because Silas can't take a joke, it sparked a conversation about, you know, whatever, them going out and Jasmine not being allowed to take drinks from men. And he's like, oh, because if you take a drink from a man and you get a free drink, excuse me, then he might not understand that that's all it was and this and that. And once again, Silas is proving that he's actually a very controlling person. I don't know, like, let me tell you, I'm watching this season and the only man that has shown no red flags is Preston. If that means anything to y'all, Preston is the only one. No red flags. I'm not saying he's not problematic, but there are no red flags there. I know that he is queer and he dates men, whatever, but no red flags from Preston. All the other men. So maybe the problem is straight men. Could be the problem. But yeah, so he was like, oh, and the problem is he met her during the pandemic. So he doesn't know who she was prior to the pandemic. I'm telling you, hearing stories and actually living out, going out with your girl or seeing her go out or knowing that she's out and any of those things is so different, right? And that's what Silas is trying to reconcile right now. And he's having a very hard time doing that, especially now that she has her friends around. And it's just crazy because her friends are really annoyed by it because they want their friend that was a partier. And I understand that she can't be that girl, but like she can be some of that girl, like not a partier going crazy, but it's like I can still go out with my friends. And what it looks like is she does not do nothing with them anymore since she got with him. And the only time she did was when he went away to be in the reserves or train for the reserves. So that kind of, again, he's not seeing it. He's just talking to her. So that is like, and I see that is going to be a very big problem. But this episode ends with Nick telling everybody that he has a girlfriend. A girlfriend. Now everybody's flabbergasted, especially all the women, because come to find out, he was in every single one of their DMs. Like, we knew he was in Jordan's DMs. We knew he was in Shanice's DMs. But now we're finding out he was in Bria's DMs talking crazy. Like, sir. And we don't even get to find out because Mariah, he was probably in Mariah's DMs too. Like, Nick, what type of person who has a girlfriend is flirty in everybody's DMs that he's about to meet, talking about, oh, it's just casual conversation that's a little flirty. Not with no girlfriend, it's not. And you didn't come out the bat and tell everybody that you had a girlfriend. Everybody who was taken on the woman's side, I mean, Jasmine obviously came with her husband, and Bria immediately mentioned she had a man. But you came here and was playing in everybody's face like you single and you trying to pick who you gonna be with and whatever. And then now you're like, oh, well, I actually have a girlfriend in New York and it's pretty serious. Sir, what? And let me tell you, that was every girl's reaction. What? And that's how the episode ends. And so, once again, I am really excited for this show. Like, the first 3 episodes have not disappointed. I mean, I am disappointed in Mariah going home. Like, I'm gonna start a petition because she needs to be brought back 100%. Comment and like if you are in agreement, because we need to get that girl back. I mean, if she wants to come back, of course. But yeah, this show seems like it's gonna be really good. I'm excited. We haven't even gotten all the people, probably because Phil and Mariah left. They're bringing in 2 more people. It's getting to be a big cast, but I am getting to know all of them since watching, so I'm excited about that. Yeah, we definitely need to get this to stay, right? It can't be a one and done. This needs to have multiple seasons, and they need to maybe whittle down the group. I don't know, but I don't know who I would get. Well, Bria for sure. Sorry. Probably Nick too, kind of boring. But let's see how the season ends. And when the season ends, then we will decide who we think should stay and who should go, right? And we can all talk about it here on Robe Chronicles. So please like, comment, subscribe, share. Tell me what you think about the show, how you're feeling about it. I know today's episode was a little long, but in the future, I will make sure to separate them. I'm sorry. I mean, I go out of the country and travel a lot, but I will always try to stay on top of it for you guys. All right, so join me next time. See you guys later. Bye.